Hey guys, how's it going? Companion here. Today's going to be a little bit different video. I'm going to show you guys a game called MavenFall. It is not Hearthstone. It's pretty similar. It is a card game, but it's more of like an RPG card game. It is pretty interesting. I have been playing it for a couple months now, but it's been an alpha, so you haven't seen me play it. I talked about it just a little bit, but not really. This is really just the big intro, and I'm doing it today because today it is the day that the game is being launched for iOS. It is being launched for Android as well, but that'll be in a few months. So you guys will have to wait for that if you don't have an Apple device. But overall, it's just an awesome game. You guys, like, I get approached so frequently by, developers and game guys. It's like, play this, play that, play my game, check this out. And generally, nothing really piques my interest. I haven't really been interested in much but Hearthstone in a very long time. But this really did. So, I checked it out, and I really did get quite addicted to the game very quickly because there's such a large strategic component, and it's really up my alley. So I thought you guys would like to see the game, like to see what's going on, like to see some of my approaches. And it's kind of interesting to see because a lot of similar games, a lot of, like, let's say card games, like to borrow successful ideas from one another. So maybe it leads into some predicted changes in some of the games that you guys are more familiar with. So enough of that, let me show you guys the game here. It is MavenFall. This is just like the intro screen. Mavens are the characters, they're like the heroes. You get quite a few, you start with quite a lot. My main team is comprised generally of heroes, Mavens that you start with, but there's a lot more than that. I haven't fully explored what's going on with the game, but I have been very successful with what I've done so far. The way the game functions, and I'll show you guys a game here in a moment, is that it is a card game. Every single Maven has its own deck that you build, and as the turns progress, when you're playing against someone, you choose which deck you want to draw from. Now, a team is five Mavens, but you draw 3 cards at the start, up to 3 cards at the start of the turn, and that really is how you dictate your flow of actions. So the first point is to design the deck for each Maven that you're going to use. The Summoner is really the pivotal point in my deck because it is the Maven that I draw cards from first. Now, if you guys want tips, that's really the biggest one. The main strategy that you need to have is how do you act? What is your plan? Who do you draw from first? And how do you make the rest of your team kind of synergize with that sequencing? So for my Summoner here, the legendary card, the Conjoined Monster, is a really big dude. It's just like a tank. 2 red dolls, like 2 small tanks, and the black dolls, like a back row unit that does damage based on how much life it has at the end of each turn. And because of that, I try to up the life of that minion, and I put in 5 Spiritual Bolts. There's a lot of other spells that I could be using, but I don't. I really like consistency in this game, but because I have so many options, I could fit many different roles with each Maven. But generally, I try to keep few type of specific roles for each Maven within a certain composition. So that's really like the source of my comp. And I'll show you guys how the game works here in a second. But how do you get these cards? Well, there's the gold thing. You get gold from basically everything you do, and you can just buy like a random gold card through gold. Costs 320 gold. That's very easy. I usually get like 3, 4, maybe 5 a day with how much I play, just not really much. For the gems, the other currency that you see in the top right here, usually I get about 2 gem cards every 3 days. I haven't put any money into the game. It is a free-to-play game, but you can buy gems if you want to accelerate the amount of cards you have. I haven't paid anything, and I'm like one of the top players in the game right now. Obviously, not many people playing, but still, you can make it work without buying. There's a third currency here. It's dust. It's basically excess cards that you don't need. You can destroy them. You basically disenchant them. And the Lightbringer and the Griffin Knight are the only 2 Mavens that you can unlock only through disenchanted materials. Others you unlock through the gem draw whenever you land on one of their cards that you didn't have. And if you didn't have that Maven, you basically unlock the Maven. That's how you're able to unlock some of the hidden ones. Alright, so let's get into it here. The arena is basically ranked play. I'm rank 1. I've been playing this game quite a bit, and I have been doing pretty well in it. My comp here, you can see the divide up. So at my front row, I have 2 tanks. all the front row Mavens are tanks. I have the Dwarf tank, which is first in line. He has the most HP in the game, and he flows really well by just absorbing damage as I put out summon minions. And the rest of my Mavens are mid-range minions. So the mid row is usually can't be attacked until the row before it dies. So when my 2 tanks die, then my mid row can be attacked. And these are basically the groups. So whenever there's a card that targets a group, and there's a front guy or guys, it targets that guy or guys. If there's only mid guys left, then it targets those ones. And the back, and I don't use any back ones. But that's the idea there. Let me show you guys how a game works. And I'll talk about my comp and some of the general strategies. So the big thing is you want units with powerful cards, and you kind of want to adapt that based on what cards you get from the card draws, but also you want to have a form of strategy that's based on in which order and what you want to happen throughout the game. Now, generally you're going to be facing players in this, but because I'm recording this video before the game actually came out, which is, again, today, you generally face like bots. If there's no player when you want to queue up, then it just queues you up against the bot. So this is actually a pretty interesting turn. The Mana Catalyst is a card that basically is like an innervate. It ramps up my mana. At the start of the game, you draw one completely random card from each of the deck that you designed for each Maven. So I have one card from each of them. I can develop the Red Doll, and then I can get 2 more mana, and then I can buff the minion that I spawned plus the 2 front row guys. My opponent's comp is actually a really tough one, so I actually think I do want to do that. Oh, did I screw that up? No, I think we got it. Alright, sequencing had to be good. There's a certain timer you have to respect. This is actually the only comp that I've lost against, so we'll see. We might actually lose here, we'll have to see. It's because this comp has a ton of AoE damage and there's a ton of synergy. The only weakness with the comp is that you basically permanently stun it in some situations. And, well, it looks like that situation is happening right now. Okay, so we're going to use this card here. What we used is a stun, and then we'll heal, just so we keep our guys on high HP. And we took some damage there. We can take a look at some of my opponent's card. So my opponent used this Poison Slash, which does 3 damage to the group of enemy, and Poison makes it so each time you use an action with that hero, you take that much damage. I think here we just want to keep stunning the opponents, honestly. I think there isn't much strategy involved here. We just stun. Because all of my opponent's Mavens are front row, there's a ton of synergy with his guys, but it also makes them very vulnerable to just group attacks. And that's basically what I'm focusing on. Now, I know that stun card, I have 3 copies of it, and you can see here I only have 3 cards left in my Dwarf's deck. So I'm just going to try to force draw that stun. I also have some stuns from my other guy. This is the card that I've been using. Sacrifice 4 damage to self and 4 damage to enemy group and stunning them. This is why you don't want a ton of one type of group, because it's vulnerable to these type of actions. So I'm going to get the first kill here. I don't think there's much of a reason to use these cards because they do a little bit more damage later on, but will I get a chance to use them later on? I'm not sure, so let's actually just use one. The most dangerous unit is actually this Dwarf in my opponent's lineup. Now, one thing that's really interesting is usually I sequence the game by... wow, he just armored up a whole bunch. Let's see if I can draw a stun. If I don't draw a stun, I'm in a bit of trouble. Okay, so now I'm in a bit of trouble. I'm going to have a very passive turn. It's such a passive turn that I should probably just waste the card because my Dwarf will probably die. But yeah, as I was saying, generally my sequencing is I spawn pets and let the pets do the work for me. But because my opponent is running such a front row stacked team, it's just so important to perpetually stun my opponents more than any other action, really. Okay, so my opponent stunned me. and then he did that weakness thing. If I can draw... Oh, I need to draw a stun and a dispel because my guys are stunned, huh? That would be really hard to do. Let's see if I can do that. Dispel? No. Dispel? No. Dispel? No. Oh boy. We are getting some really bad draws here. Okay, so what I used is just a damage heal attack, but at 14 life my dwarf is probably dead, which is really bad because I have 3 cards in hand that are his, and if his dwarf does some crazy stuff, we're just gonna get absolutely owned here. Okay. Okay. Well, now we can try to draw that stun. Okay, we drew the Stampede, which is the stun. Whew. Still a bit of a tough one. I don't think he can die. And I think I want to force draw stun next turn. Thing is, he might actually die. Okay, we gotta cleanse. Cleanse dispels my guys, but I think it might actually remove a stun effect from my opponents. So what I'm thinking of doing, because Cleave has +2 damage plus status per status effect, I can Cleave, then Dispel, then Stun, and the stun will kill the dwarf. See, the sequencing in this game is just such a high level, such a high strategic component here. Okay, so my opponent just couldn't do anything. I really just want to draw the stun, and I did draw the stun. The main unit that I attack is the top one here, the one at 22 life. 22 life is still quite a lot of life. So I don't know if I could actually finish this game here. I'd need a big AoE attack if I can get one. Okay, I got a mana crystal. Okay, let's just go. This is like his legendary spell. At start turn, increase maximum mana by 2. Let's just do that and go for another stun turn. My opponent basically skipped his turn the last time I stunned him, so we're basically just going to prepare for a bigger turn. Yeah, he skipped the turn again. Let's see if I can get his AoE. I did not get the AoE. That sucks. That really sucks. Alright. Well, I basically just play everything. Looks like we're not going to get a kill here. So it actually gives my opponent a chance. Probably will lose that guy. Fortunately, he wasn't able to stun, though. I was looking for a big AoE attack. I was looking for that one. 4 damage doing +1 per mana remaining. Yes, that basically insta-kills that front row. That's what we're looking for. And let's just get some summon stuff, why not? This game is basically over. I think the reason that my opponent hasn't been able to play any cards with the guy in the back row is because he has no cards left. So because he has no cards left, or his cards, the cards that are left are probably replicates, he basically can't do anything. And we're gonna win! That was a pretty tough game, but that really showed how very aggressive compositions can be trumped by just a little bit of control. So there is a little bit of a meta, there is a little bit of counterplay at work, and there's certainly a lot of fun to be had. So that's that. I didn't quite get to show you guys the strategy of my team because my opponent had an aggressive one. I kind of had to counterplay against his, but you guys get the idea. You know, there's a lot of really cool gameplay. There is some more though. They have the adventure mode. The adventure mode doesn't really do too much. It just like unlocks all the free heroes, all the free mavens. But in the future they said they want to have like a trial mode where you face like raid bosses and get like rewards and stuff. They also want like a dungeon quest, which is like a survival mode. Now, we don't exactly know when that stuff is coming up. Also, for new content, they mentioned how they're going to be adding new Mavens to the game. They're going to be doing it in waves, kind of like seasons. Again, they don't know how frequently this is going to happen, but I did experience one of these waves during the alpha, and it certainly was really wild. It completely changed how everything worked. Not only did they add a lot of new Mavens, but they changed a ton of the cards, and they added cards to the existing Mavens. In terms of how you build like your collection, kind of how I have, one way is if you just log in every day, you eventually get the full set for a specific Maven. This month it's the Wolf Mage, and you know I'm getting there. I'm gonna get all the stuff. You get every single card, even the legendary one, even the valuable ones. And the dailies, you do some dailies, you get a bunch of gems, and again, I think I get about 2 gem packs every 3 days. That's kind of the rate that I'm working at. There's a lot more like advanced strategy to talk about, but I didn't want to make this video too long. I just want to introduce you guys to really one of my hobbies that you guys haven't really seen yet, MavenFall, the good stuff. So check it out if you want. If you have an iOS device, the game is available today. Otherwise, Android might have to wait a little bit, but I think it'll be worth the wait. If you guys are interested, if you guys like the video, make sure to let me know if you guys are interested in me talking about some of the more expert level strategy that I have experienced in the game so far. And yeah, check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.